Hi there everybody, it's Verity here from inkbutterfly.com. Thank you so much for joining me again today for another card making tutorial. Today's video is for our project share project blog hop. It's all about the new catalogue. So we've got a new publication that runs started in May, runs all the way through to August. So lots of lovely goodies in here that you'll have seen lots of from myself and other demonstrator friends. So yeah, we'll be showcasing those today. I've chosen to work with scalloped blooms. So not only do you get a lovely set of sentiments in this one, we've got these really super dies which are huge. And some labels as well, so it's a really great set. I've used it a few times already, but not in this way. Okay, so as it sort of suggests, you can make sort of these lovely retro sort of florals from this particular set. So I've happened to pick out some brights for this particular card. So this is actually Melon Mambo, Coastal Cabana, Flirty Flamingo and Azure Afternoon, Daffodil Delight in the centre and Granny Apple Green for the leaves. Okay, so that's what we're going to recreate today, but of course we're going to use some new colours as well. Okay, right, so there's loads of die cutting to do on this project, so you'll be relieved to know that I've done a lot of that already. The squares in the background are from an old favourite, Perennial Postage, so this is the small square from that set. So we've got 4 of those. The layer is a little smaller at 3 3/4 by 5.5, just a little extra quarter of an inch off on there. Okay, and I've already started to die cut some of the other elements that we're going to need. So we'll need centres, which I'm going to do in pecan pie this time. We need the little bit that goes in the middle. This is the smallest scalloped die, and we're just doing that in white. And then we're going to cut the next one up in colours. Okay, so I've already done one in Barely Blush. Okay, so we've got Calypso Coral to do. Okay, so we'll just run these through. These aren't going to take too long to die cut. Okay, so we'll just run that through, and you only need to run it, you know, a couple of turns, 1, 2, and then back again. So when you're cutting smaller dies like that, you don't have to roll your plates all the way through. It's a real time saver when you've got that to do. Okay, then this is Golden Glow, so we'll pop that one through. Now you can, with the thinner paper, this is actually the 2-tone cardstock that I'm using to create these today. I used A4 cardstock on these ones, but you can cut more than one die cut at a time. But this one has got this lovely little stitching detail on it, and sometimes when you do multiple layers you'll lose that detail, so I decided to just go with doing each one individually. It doesn't take too long. The centres, it's a die with 2 on, so that only had to go through twice. Okay, so that's all our flowers done, and the leaves have 6 on a single die. So I'm going to use Peaceful Pine. I think I might use the light side of Peaceful Pine, and we'll cut out those, and that'll give us 6 leaves straight off. Oops, as long as it stays still, straight off. And then I'm just going to use that scrap because I need 2 extra. I need 8 leaves, so we'll pull that off. And we'll just retrieve these from here. When you do have a bit, my cutting plate is obviously very well loved, so sometimes things will stick to it. That's fine, I can cope with that. So I'm just going to make sure I can cut 2 leaves from that scrap there. So I'm just going to overlap that a bit. It doesn't matter if it cuts into the plate with nothing underneath it, it's fine. I just want enough to cut an extra 2 leaves out. So we'll just take off that corner and do that. There we go, actually ended up with 3. No matter, it's fine. Only need 2. Okay, so that is all the die cutting done. So we'll just make sure that's clean for next time. Okay, I think it's all done anyway, she says. Right, so I'm going to use a tool now just to give some shape to some stuff. So the centres, I'm pressing on the back to make that domed. These I'm pressing on the front to make these into a little cup. Okay, leaves are going to stay as they are. I'll just leave those there. And the flowers, we're going to start off on the back, and then we're going to turn it over and pop in some stripes like that. So we'll end up with a lovely shaped flower like so. So we'll do that with all of those. Just round the edges, get it nice and shaped, and then press down and get that beautiful shape on there. Okay, and here we go. Press that one, press that one, press that one. Oh, almost matches my little mat. Don't have to be too precise with it, you're just giving it some shape. And any rounded tool, I just happen to have one of these. Okay, so we can start to construct the flowers really simply with some multi-purpose glue. So we'll just add just a speck in the middle there. You don't need a lot of this stuff, it's really strong, so just need to add those on into the center here. And I opted to offset these, so the sort of petals are going into the grooves. So you can just twizzle those around, or you can layer them so that they line up with the outer portion. Okay, so that's those. And then the centers, we're actually going to add a dimensional into the middle first. So we're just going to pop, it's just big enough to pop those in, which is super cool. There we go, and number 4. Okay, and then we can just pop these into the middle of each of those flowers. So when I did my little hopefully you saw my little mini series featuring all the colours, and I think these go really well with the neutrals, so hence using pecan pie. I did toy with using early espresso, but I thought this would just give them, they're all a little muted, if you know what I mean, so I went with the pecan instead. Okay, so I've got this last one. That just looks like yummy ice cream flavours. I think this is going to look very ice creamy with the blush. Oh, that's set a little bit off centre. Oh, told you the glue grow. Oh, there we go. Press hard enough, it did move. It does grab very quickly, this glue. There we go, that's a bit more central. And the last one, like so. Okay, leaves we can pop to one side for a second. Right, to help with placement, I found it easier to make sure the flowers were on the squares and then position the squares afterwards to make sure the spacing was right. So again, we'll use the wet glue. We'll pop some on there, and if you there's a little dip halfway across, so I'm using that to help me line it up top and bottom, and just making sure that you can only see that portion sticking out basically. Okay, so and then once it grabs, you'll be able to move it. So we'll just repeat that. Ooh, that's a bit too big of a blob, that's fine, it'll squidge out. There we go. Just make sure it doesn't move too much. And then this one. Like so. Ooh, did you hear me holding my breath then while I was positioning it? And then our last one, golden glow. Okay, there we go. So while those just have a minute just to firm a little, we'll just do something with the background. So we're leaving it clean and white, but I thought it would be good to add a little bit of colour around the edge just to define it. So I'm going to pull out the pecan pie ink, and I'm just going to tap the edge of the cardstock here, so it will sort of have this defined edge to it. With the foam ink pads, I wouldn't recommend sort of swiping it through, just dab it on. And this is white willow, so the cut edge will become very nice and porous and may even bleed in a little bit, and I'm fine with that. Okay, so that's a little tip if you want to do that. The other thing you can do, which I could have done actually, because I've got the marker for that, haven't I? I didn't think I had a marker. Oh yeah, there is one. Right, so you could use the marker as well and just run the tip along the edge of the cardstock as well. Okay, so either or would do the trick. Okay, and then when we add this to our card base, which there it is, found it. Obviously that's going to make that layer just stand out, but without adding any additional bulk. Okay, so we'll just do this with seal. Let's just move that out of the way, just in case some of that ink's a little bit wet. Oops. There we go. And a little bit in the middle. And we'll pop that on there. Just remember that your border is going to be a little bit bigger, but so long as you eyeball top, bottom, and in my case the right hand side, if you're right handed obviously it'll be the other edge. As long as you get that looking like it's even, the rest should take care of itself. Okay, we'll just press that down. Okay, and we'll reinforce that score line. So basic white and willow white are a slightly different colour. The willow is a little brighter, so you can tell the difference when they're put together like that, which I don't mind at all. But then we've got that nice defined frame on there too. Okay, right, so hopefully these have set up enough for us to manipulate these now. So we'll just use some wet glue, which is going to be our friend in terms of making sure that we can line these up. But from my sample, I know that I need to be about 1/2 inch in. And which order do I need to put these in? Let's do that one. Not sure it particularly matters. So the distance in the middle probably doesn't matter that much, so long as you've got the left and the right even, if you get what I mean, and the rest can just follow. And oh, That's the other thing. Right, I'm going to turn this one that way. So you see how the petals on this one are flat at the top, and this one's got a point at the top. So just to add a little bit of interest, and they just fit together a little better. Well, if they do, in my opinion, anyway. Then I think we'll do the other pink one here, pinky colour here. That needs to be flat up. And then this one needs to be point up. Okay, and that liquid glue is just going to give you that moment or two just to make sure everything's all nice and lined up. There we go. Doesn't that look cute? Oh, so cool. Right, leaves. So obviously these are teeny tiny. If you want to use tweezers, you can. But again, just a dab of glue just to stick these in place. Everything's all a bit wet in terms of the glue, so you may really want to give this a bit of drying time really before you start adding these in. But obviously with filming this, don't have that luxury. Oh, see, moved it. Could have used tape, of course, but the thing with tape is it's great, but you won't have that sort of opportunity just to make sure everything's positioned where you want it to be. And of course, trying to use your dominant hand when you've got all these things. Okay, there we go. So a pokey tool is helpful. Let's pop this one at the top. It's so teeny. I do have some tweezers, but sometimes I don't. Sometimes they're helpful and sometimes they're not. It's helped me turn it over. There we go. It's so cute though. I like these colours together. They're really retro. I hadn't really realised that until I started putting them together like this. And I've just discovered that those leaves bend up quite nicely in the centre, so if you wanted to give those a bit of shape you could. Okay, a couple more to go. I'm trying to make sure that they're in different positions on each flower, just so that it looks a bit more sort of organic, if you like. So let's pop that one down here. Okay, lid on the glue, and then just make sure that's where I want it, like so. And then you can use your tool just to help you press things into place, make sure everything's where you want it to be before it starts to set too much. There we go. Great, so that looks fabulous. So the only thing to add is the sentiments. So as you can see, I did that one at the bottom there, and I just used the black ink on here, and I'm toying with the idea of actually using the pecan just to sort of keep it all matchy. Shall we do that instead? I think that would be cool. Okay, so let's do that with pecan pie. I'll just do some light tapping on there. So this is obviously our foam pad still, so just making sure that it's all nicely inked. You could totally use your stamping positioner for this, but I'm just going to go for it. We've got sort of a straight edge to aim at because we've got the postage edges, and the last but one letter conveniently lines up underneath there quite well. So we'll just prop that into place. And just some even pressure on there and lift that up. Super. There we go. So that is my card featuring some new products for our project here today. Absolutely love how this turned out. I had no idea what I was going to create with this card, and I really wanted to use these this bundle, and I'm so pleased with how it turned out. Isn't that so cute? Okay, and look how wonderful it is in the brights as well, and I think that frame has really made it. Absolutely love it. Okay, fantastic. So this is a blog hop. Well, it supports blog hops, so do have a look in the description, click onto my blog, and then you'll be able to go and see what Vicky and Heather have made with their new catalogue products as well. So I hope you've been inspired, really enjoyed making that, and I hope you enjoyed watching it. Thanks ever so much for joining me. Stay safe, take care, and I'll see you again soon. Bye bye.